Hey you guys, it is your girl Talk That Talk Mia, and I am back with a continuation of this story. So I told you guys that I was beginning to have a hardened heart, after I had sat with myself and realized, everything that has hurt me, and yeah, just realizing things about my life that just was not good. And in terms, I found that, every type of relationship hadn't hurt me, whether it was a relationship with family, with friends, and of course, why we started here, the relationships with significant others. Okay, so I was finding out a lot about myself. So in terms, I was trying to seek God so I could really get, on track or whatever. So here it is. I had left Virginia and I'm back in Yazoo City. So I wanted to start making videos and talk about everything that I have literally gone through in my life. But Little Miss Perfect Jamia wanted everything to be done, the way that I envisioned it. Like, I envisioned the background music. I envisioned, people editing my videos. I envisioned so much for, myself. If I was going to start something, that means like I had to really do them, do it or do whatever the way that it needed to be done. I needed to exceed the expectation of my own. So I met this guy who was going to edit my videos, you guys. And the first day that I met him, he asked me, he said, "Are you a prophet?" And I go, "No." And he asked, "Do you sing?" And I'm like, "No." And so I'm just a lot of things. So I'm like, okay, well, you're obviously a messenger of God. So now, I'm comfortable around you because I know that fivefold ministries do exist. So now it's like, okay, well, God, you didn't direct me to the right person. Okay. And so we literally just started talking about God. The conversation was basically about God and not a lot about what I was trying to do. So he told me that he had a dream of someone who was dressed in gray but had on yellow shoes, and he was like, gray means indecisiveness. So I'm like, okay then. So I'm trying to see, like, okay, you're calling me indecisive. All right, I get it. Because I don't know at this point, I don't know what to do. So continuing on, we just started having more open conversations, okay? And in the conversations, he would he would say a lot of things that God said. So I'm listening, I'm eager to learn, eager to know, why am I here? Let's just get it going. Like, so he said that he was like, well, God just told me to record you on a white screen and let you just do what you do. So I'm like, cool. So he asked me, he said, where did this idea of wanting to do this started from? And I was like, God. And he was like, how did God give you this idea if, you have been praying for him to speak to you? So I was like, well, I had this encounter with him before. And when I had that encounter, I felt fire. And I said, so every time something goes through my mind or it's something that I need to do, I feel it's accompanied with fire. So I feel the fire. And I said, and this is something that I felt the fire with. And he was like, okay. He said, yeah. He was like, God, he does, come through certain individuals that way. So I'm like, okay. But he was like, but you need to grow up and get in, the knowing of hearing his voice. So basically, he was just telling me that, there was a good and a bad voice, just follow the good voice. So I'm like, okay, cool. We kept going, and I started recording or whatever. And once I got in my flow of recording and I started talking about, like really personal things, being that I was in a whole relationship with a female, and I was talking about other things that I had encountered and everything, and the person that I was talking to, just like I was getting it all out. But he would come in and interrupt and be like, Mia, did Dad tell you to say that? And I was feeling like, of course he did. But it also put me in a state of mind to where, God, am I supposed to be speaking about these things? But I had already said I knew. But when someone else came to me, it was like, okay, maybe not. So, y'all, I really just started trying to escape that area because I felt like I couldn't be who I was anymore without a person being there critiquing me. And especially when I got to the point of speaking about, like not having sex before marriage, because I hadn't realized that, about the sex and the emotion, like God hadn't revealed that to me. I can say that now, but then I didn't know that it was his revelation. I was speaking from what was on the inside of me, what came to my mind, and what I had known to be true. So he goes on to say, Mia, you can't say that because like God can use any situation. He could allow people to have sex to get through to, that person or whatever. So in my mind, I'm just like, okay then, well, I'm just gonna stop speaking about this because I don't know. This just the point where I had gotten. It was just like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm talking about then, so I'm just shut up. So I started going to church, and I had been being taught about having a relationship with God. So it was like basically I needed to go from knowing God, knowing of God to knowing him. So in this point in time, I'm like, okay, I need to make a conscious decision to actually follow Jesus. So here I am with this conscious decision, and I'm like, okay, let me call my pastor up and tell him that I want to be baptized again. Y'all, this would be my third time being baptized. So I'm like, yeah, I want to be baptized again. Y'all, I talked to him and he was like, okay, I'm gonna give you a call back. Cool. A week went by. Didn't hear nothing. Another week went by. Didn't hear nothing. So I'm going over here to this church because I saw that they were having prayer, and I felt like I needed prayer. Like I was in desperate need, y'all. I was in desperate need of affection, desperate need of protection, desperate need of a feeling. So here I am in church, and I'm learning all this stuff, and then I'm liking the way that the guy is teaching. And, so it's like, okay, cool. So I asked him, like, will you baptize me? And he's like, yes. So, okay, I'm like, all right, well, I don't need my pastor to baptize me. I'm going to let him baptize me. Well, y'all, I literally, had to join their church in order to be baptized. But just hold on, because God, God is a good God, y'all. I promise you, he is so good. So before being baptized and before joining the church, you have to go through this new members course, right? So in the new members course, they teach you the bylaws, and they teach you what it is to be a Baptist. They teach you what it is to be baptized. What does it mean to be baptized? Like, what are you doing? So, a little informative class. So one day, the teacher who was teaching the class, we were going over the bylaws, and in the bylaws, it said that I would not partake in any, drunk activities and, stuff of that nature. And as I was reading it, I was like, I'm really lying, if I'm going to sit here and read these things. So basically, they were trying to change a person, trying to get a person to fake, basically trying to get a person to become a hypocrite. Because if you want to do something in your heart, but you're not doing it because of the people and what they say on the outside, like that's hypocritical. That is so hypocritical when you want to do something in your heart, but you just don't do it. No, you may as well, because if when you get behind closed doors, you will end up doing it anyway. So no, we're not about to fake the funk here. But the next day, as we were going over these same bylaws, I looked at her. I said, I remember you from somewhere. I think you used to come to my aunt's house when we had the parties. And she was like, who is your aunt? So I told her who my aunt was, and she was like, oh no, that wasn't me. That was my sister. They used to be over there playing cards and drinking and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so why are you judging? Like, you're a woman in the church who is judging. You're judging. You're past judging. So she had rubbed me the wrong way there, because I feel like it was innocence there. I know I'm not saying that we should drink. I'm not saying any of those things, because as this story continue, y'all will see how I feel about drinking and everything, and my experience of going through that. But anyway, just hold on, we gonna get there. So like I said, like, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I think like she felt it, and we ended class that day. So later that day we had Bible study, okay? And at Bible study, I think we were in Matthew 14, and he was teaching about, how no student is greater than the teacher. And she was like, yes, yes, yes. And me being me, as I'm telling you all, I was hungry for the word of God, and I was reading in New Living Translation. So I was reading things and understanding it, because that same teacher had told me that you are to read the entire chapter. You need to know who they're addressing and what was the purpose of the chapter and what are you supposed to get out of it. So by them bringing out a piece of the scripture, I asked the question. I said, well, although that may be true, but weren't they talking about Jesus in this context? Like, in the entire chapter, it was basically Jesus, okay? So, I wanted to know, like, everything was not wrapping, it wasn't clicking in my mind. And, you had other people like the deacons and everything, they wanted to talk over me and be like, no, that's not what it is. It's just what was said or whatever. And I think if you went on down, it tells you about trying to see the speck in the other person's eye when you can't even see the log in yours. I don't want to keep sitting here quoting the wrong scriptures, y'all, and my phone was dead. But read Matthew 14, or read exactly, or Google exactly what I just said, and for sure it will give you all the chapter that it came from. You can read it yourself, but I'm just trying to give y'all, let y'all in on what was going on. So he was like, y'all know what, she's actually right. Like, you do have to pay attention to the entire chapter or whatever, so you can get what's going on. Y'all, that lady got up and she left. And another lady who was sitting in front of me, she was like, well, there is a time and a place for everything, and a season too, and this is obviously not the season. So little old me had gotten offended, y'all. And this is my phone going off, so give me a second. Okay. I am back. So, yeah, I'm about to show y'all this right now. And when she said that there's a time and a place in a season for everything, like I said, I was like a little bit offended, y'all. So I went back and I'm talking to, the messenger. And the messenger, y'all, the messenger was like, did daddy tell you to join that church? Daddy being God. And I'm like, no, he did not. And I was like, well, I don't know. He was like, well, that's what happens when you go against what he's telling you to do. So I'm like, well, you just teach me then. Since you're the messenger, you teach me. And I took him to be my mentor, y'all. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna listen to this man teaching and what he telling me. And at this point, I'm just not gonna go to church. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna read my little Bible, and I am going to. And I'm, like I said, I'm gonna read my Bible, and I'm gonna just continue to watch Michael Todd on YouTube. So it is what it is. Well, after that, y'all, my pastor's wife actually saw me in the store. No, before she saw me, I would be at work, y'all, just playing my little tunes, going, like just trying to be close to God. I'm playing the gospel, just singing my little heart out, like I'm hurting. My child is not with me. Like I'm going through the motions. I'm actually sitting with myself. So with that being said, I literally started wilding, y'all. I started wilding. Okay? When I say wilding, I mean I would be drinking almost every day of the week. I started hanging out with my cousin and some old classmates, from high school. It was rough. Like I was trying to feel something, y'all. I did things that I wouldn't have dared done. I did some foul stuff. Oh my God. And then I took on a job to work the weekends, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to record my videos through the week, and I'm going to work on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's working 32 hours, getting paid for 40. So I'm like, this is sweetly. So, but being that I wanted to hang and feel something and not sit with myself, y'all, that caused me to hang out on weekends and actually, literally, I started drinking, like I said, every day. But then on the weekends, when it was time for me to go to work, get up and go to work at 7 o'clock the next morning, y'all, I had literally been out drinking the entire night, probably getting an hour or 45 minutes of sleep every weekend, y'all. I did some things, like I said, that I wouldn't have ever done if I was in my right element. And that included with being hurt, y'all. Oh my God. It's, oh, wow. I'm just sitting up here wow, because, whew, Jesus.